drama to watch after that low-key atrocity. Yeah, a little bit. Am I feeling better? All that jazz, yeah. So, um, I'm trying to put two and two together. Right, I'm about this accounting. It's like about to be 9. I did a dance. I made 200 meatballs. I can't believe they made me do 200 meatballs today. I was really chopping up that onion like, bruh, this shit is like, I could do this all day. That's how I felt, really. I was like, I could do this all day. There was no music involved, though. I felt like if there was music, though, it would have been faster. I did start singing at some point. At some point, I remember also singing prayers as well as the national anthem. Please, there was no music. um, and so there's just this like energy. I don't know how to explain it. It's like when it's a cat-like energy. It's when like waiting to pounce, waiting to pounce. That's a perfect analogy. Thank you, Holy Spirit. It's a waiting to pounce energy, and people get a little lost, confused, and maybe prideful in that energy. But me, I get ready, you know. And so we're about to get ready. So I just gotta get it. Watch me go, 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 go. I just gotta get it. Watch me go, 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 go. Hey. Okay. So let's start with preparedness, right? We're prepared. There's a lot of preparedness here, so we gotta ground it, right? There it is. I knew something was gonna come out. I knew something was gonna come out. They couldn't do it. They couldn't do it. They're trying to wait. They're trying to steal patience, right? Yeah, flatterer. Waiting to pounce, copycat. See? Thieves, grace, solitude, hospitality, justice, trust, hope, and honesty. Yeah, they're waiting to pounce. They're waiting to pounce. Okay, use false kindness to receive. Okay. Yep. So, oh my gosh, Fuchsia. Chill. She just, you know what? Cats, am I right? 29. Wait. Proverbs 29. 5. Okay. A man who flatters his neighbor spreads a net for his feet. So that's one. Okay. But we didn't have that. We didn't have that. Maybe you would do that same thing for me. That's the kindness. It's gesture. I don't know how to explain it. It's like, hold on 1 second. I need to wipe this. So it's like generosity is the target. Generosity. For such people do not deserve our Lord Christ, for their own appetites, and by smooth talk and flattery they deceive the hearts of the naive. Okay. Okay, so apparently I'm supposed to be naive to some sort of generosity, according to them, right? Okay. So I don't know if that's like, I don't know where they're seeing generosity at, but here it is. Okay, so when the hypocrites come to you, O Muhammad, they say, we testify that you are the messenger of Allah, and Allah knows that you are his messenger. Well, that's not. And Allah testifies that the hypocrites are liars. So this, before we continue, I would like to just say that's exactly, I understand exactly what God is doing there, because this, it pisses me off. You know, when someone is like, when you, oh my gosh, when you know yourself or you know something about yourself and someone wants to affirm it as if that they are you, but they're doing it as if that they're doing it for you. That's where the lie is. So, oh my gosh, you're so generous as I'm providing free meals. Like, what are you trying to do there? You know what I mean? What are you trying to do? Right? That's the reality. Because what's the lie is them doing that. Yeah, so they're, you know, trying to be receptive. False receptivity. False receptivity, yeah. Because it's giving me a headache. Giving me a headache. Okay. They have taken their oaths as cover, so they avert people away from Allah. Indeed, it was evil that they were doing. You see what I'm saying? That is because they believed and then they disbelieved. So their hearts were sealed over and they do not understand. Okay? And when you see them, their form please you. And if they speak, you listen to their speech. They are as if they were pieces of wood propped up. They think that every shout is against them. They are the enemies, so beware of them. May Allah destroy them. How are they deluded? How are they deluded? How are they deluded? So now I get it. There's a way the hypocrites seem to be the people that like delude themselves to believe that they have authority. There's a delusion of authority, obviously. There's an obvious delusion of authority. So ever chilled with you know something? This guy is hilarious, right? And I don't mean that politely. I mean that in the most disrespectful way ever. And so he like he like oh, that's what it is after all. He like goes and starts chatting up and he goes, I no 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 no. And it's such an obvious sales tactic. It's such an 80s version. And in some terms it may seem entertaining. And in that way, they believe that there's authority in the embarrassment. There's also a guy that reminds me of a guy that I went to high school with, right? For the longest time, I was trying to figure out what it was that was really making me laugh about the guy. And it was like he was like embarrassing himself in ways which were incomprehensible. Like it was like incomprehensive. Like it was absolutely like jarring to see. And like it was, that's what it is. It's a false light. It's like a false light of like kinship. That's what it is. It's a false light of kinship. It's not real kinship. There's no real, yeah, that's what it is. There's no real like authority there. There's no real like um construction there. And I mean by like of wisdom. In itself, it's very like jarring. It's very jarring. You see me? I was just like, yeah, that's how people look at him like so this guy, I was actually talking to this one of my coworkers and I was like, have you ever heard of royal blood? And the guy pulls up his finger like it's all cut up. And he's like, you mean like this royal blood? And I'm like, oh. I'm like, oh no, what? And he's like, yeah. Wanna share? I'm like, no, what? So he's laughing, I'm laughing because it's funny. But at the same time, because of the synchronicity is very light, very beautiful. His energy is really awesome. So basically, in that same sense, right? Although like in that same sense, it's like that jarringness of that, like oh no, like you know what I mean, is is the very fabric of their being, the fabric of their being of those individuals who are very embarrassing. They're enemies, and this is the only time that I can say, you know what I mean, that it's time for us to dip while things are still light. So I I gotta get it. Watch me go, 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 go. Gotta get watch me go, 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 go. You know what I mean?
So Manusmriti, we're out. We're out, y'all. We're out. Yeah, I'll see you later. Bye. We're not going back. Manusmriti. Manusmriti for 138. Okay, I made borscht finally. It was alright. I forgot to put allspice, and then I remembered late to put lemon, and I was like, oh my gosh. And then they were like, that touch of acidity was what it needed, and I'm like, wait until I put allspice in it, because I fucking forgot. I put salt, pepper, but I didn't put allspice. Put dill, but I forgot to put allspice. Like, duh, allspice, duh. But I guess that would have been too real for them, right? So speak the truth, speak what is pleasant. Do not speak unpleasant truth. Speak what is pleasant and not false. This is the eternal law. Okay? Speak what is pleasant and not false. This is eternal law. Speak the truth. Will speak what is pleasant. Do not speak unpleasant truth. Speak what is pleasant and not false. This is eternal law. See? It's like an unpleasant truth. That's what they really seem like, a false reality. Yeah, I mean it. I mean it. I mean it. Okay, 10 evil acts for a speech. So they couldn't do this anymore. Those people doing that, trying to write the coattails of that energy, it failed. Anchor dropper persona weighs others down with obligations or guilt. So they couldn't do that anymore. You know something? It's like energies of like they would it was like I remember wearing my rag, right? And somebody stole it in the middle of work. And I was like, wait a minute. And then I had to explain to one of my coworkers, I have aphantasia. So I had to explain to him that I literally could not imagine why being delusional and paranoid would be so hard for me. Like I would have to take like 15 extra steps to be paranoid and delusional. 15 extra steps. Let me tell you. So today I was like, wait, asked my exec, I was like, wait, why can't I just do this and then do this? And they were like, that's taking one extra step. And he explained it was one extra step. And I was like, oh, okay. And just to see the truth, right? And that's what I'm trying to say there. It's like, whereas I'm already hesitant when it comes to one extra step. 15 extra steps, that's a lot. That's a lot of work. I mean, I would just turn around midway to the first step, you know? So this the webcake persona assuming control over entry and exit points in a network. So they really thought that they was cool, and it's the same thing. It's like the false class clown. There's a real jester, and then there's them, the false class clown. They're the type of guy to shart themselves in class, and then like when everybody's laughing, they're like, at least I can laugh at myself. Bro, you just shot yourself. I said, bro, but you see what I'm saying? You see, that's where it is. That's where the see, because then you're like, I gotta elevate the situation. I gotta do something. Ways other down. Like I gotta do something. Gotta, watch me get it. Go. Yeah, because that's where they assume control. You see, so they can't do that anymore. They can't be a copycat. They can't be a flatterer. They can't steal shit. They can't do that shit anymore. They're like, is there celery in this? Yeah. 15,000, like what, 1,500 years of history. You think you're just gonna, what, swipe or no swiping? You think you're just gonna steal a 3,000-year-old recipe? Like nobody knows the Jamaican is the best. He's like, yeah. And so it's funny that he mentioned it. He's not Jamaican, I don't think. But what you call it? It's funny that the exec also mentioned, he was like, yeah, when he was in Italy, there was a bunch of people like with their hair, and I remember I was telling him, I was like, yeah, because this guy said like, what best food is it in Belgium? Because this guy, I'm telling you, okay, I just want to tell you guys this story. It's YouTube, okay? So my exec is like, oh right, like I was like, aren't you gonna eat? Like, aren't you gonna eat lunch? Like me and him are like super fucking skinny. So he's like, do I look like I eat? And I'm like, no. And then he like laughs, and I'm like, yeah, like I get it. I was like, you know what's funny? I talked about this with one of the guys that I was telling you guys about yesterday, and I was saying how in Belgium like there's no food, like there's chocolate and bread and cheese and wine. I was like, yeah, that's pretty much it. Maybe some beef, but like, no, mostly bread, cheese, and wine and chocolate. I was like, there's chocolate for sure. And he laughs and he goes, yeah. In Ireland, there were a bunch of Irish people with like red hair and everyone like that. And then he sees the one Jamaican dude and he feels like the darkest guy there and he's like tanned, right? And I'm like laughing just for this one chick, like the weirdo chick to like the one the loser, the ultimate loser, the one that drags everyone down, the loser, right? What'd you call it? The alt loser, the one that keeps on using their alt. Like, bro, like, oh my god. Like, get out of the fucking team. Right? So anyways, right. Um they go, oh ha, like they're laughing, right? And this guy and I, like my exec and I are like, because we get it, like everybody there is pretty, like, yeah, first of all, everybody there is pretty. Second, everybody is like always trying to, like, you know what I mean, get a tan and everything. And Ireland is one of those countries where it's really hard to get a tan, right? So it's much like Japan, except Japan doesn't really like the sun, but Ireland, they love the sun. So it's like a love hate. Like they're like, but please love me, and the sun is like, rah, red. So obviously having a tan, it's very, like, you know what I mean, unique. So I'm like, oh my gosh, yeah, I can just feel the energy in the back. I'm like, oh my gosh, like, bro, kill the conversation so hard. And so, like, but that's the thing, is like, he's not, bro is not in that. Bro is like, stop, sis, stop doing that. Like, stop, please stop. Like, you know what I mean? And I'm like, I don't even know what to call them. Like, I think it's like, I just gotta call him bitch, all right? Nigga and bitch, right? Nigga starts. Yeah, like that's it. That's it. I think they've been finally declassified because they wanted to be classified under divine law, right? They're not classified under shit. Incestuous? Oh shit. Prideful? Didn't I say incestuous and prideful? Hell nah. Hell no. That shit went in reverse. So they were trying to open up all sorts of weirdo energy. That's weird energy. So there they are, right, with the flatter copycat energy, expanding market. They wanted to be a part of the expanding market fire starter persona. So it creates conflict so that they can step in as the solution. Now we know. Now we know. We been knew that. So now, like, people are starting to observe even harder and identify what kind of issues they're causing and how they've been attempting to make it seem as if that they've been fixing them. And that's why they were trying to flatter. So it's like, oh, I love your hair. And then they'll cause problems to your hair and be like, you know what? I'm a hairstylist because that bitch is a quote unquote unlicensed, unprofessional, dequalified, unqualified, so-called scam of a hairstylist. So basically that's one of the things. So like, oh, I really love your hair, da, 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 right? Then causes problems, damage to the hair. And then it's like, I'll fix it at the same time. Because she was trying to boggle my hair. She was trying to play with my hair. And I did not let her do that. I was like, do not touch my motherfucking hair. Like, don't touch my hair. Like, bitch ass, don't fucking touch my shit, bro. I can do bad all by myself. As you can see, right? This is the worst that I can make it right now, right? So, what'd you call it? So and everybody really pretty much liked it, I guess, but I don't know. I don't know if that's true. But then they want to try to act like a fix it. So this is another thing. They won't, it's not just about the hairstyle, it's not just about the bitch, not just about the nigga, right? The nigga also wants to act like there's a communication issue, right? They want to act like there's a communication issue. They want to act like people don't have enough charisma. Motherfuckers is tired of them. They're starting to get sick of them. Like, you know, motherfuckers annoying. Like, bro, it's so annoying, man. Like, that's the thing, and I hate that nigga. Like, and that's really the energy. They're trying to project that all on me, and it's not really working. It's not working. It's backfiring pretty fucking hard. I guess they just wanted to make it seem like, yeah, they wanted to do the most. And then like that's what they were projecting on me hardcore. So this is somebody's enemy as well, big old enemy. This is one of my other execs, yeah, head like big enemies. This is like their biggest enemy energy. They thought that was me for a second. Yeah, now they're waking up to recognize that it's not me genuinely. Like they're realizing that well, first of all, I don't even what do you copy with, right? I don't got the parts to copy from with, right? Sorry. I don't got the parts to copy. I don't got the parts to copy. Okay? I don't replicate. Let me be for real. I innovate. Okay? I don't replicate, I innovate. All right? That's the reality. So, spin barred, bro. To be honest. So, what you call it? Expanding market. The general challenge of the situation is pressure for scaling with increasing demand. So now they're in my pain. They're in the market that I entered a while back. This is a long time ago. So I did. I remember when I started doing, started commissioning. Right, started working for commission, and um, and it was just like there's so much demand. There's so much demand that it's just like the pressure to meet the to scale. Let's see, scaling with increasing demand. Let me just make sure, right? It's to like measure the scale, right? To measure the scale, right? That's basically it. Because an expanding market means that you always gotta scale things correctly. For example, my exec, right? He said, could you make 160, would you call it, meatballs? And I was like, sure. Like he was like, just make sure to like appropriately adjust the recipe as necessary. And I was like, okay. But I ended up only making 120, yeah, which wouldn't work because doubling the 80, because the recipe showed that there would only be 80 portions, but 80 portions doubled would be 160 because there would be 2 meatballs per portion, right? But I only ended up making 120 meatballs, which means that I had to make an extra 40 meatballs. And then I made an extra 56 meatballs, bro. I don't even know how the fuck. Like, I don't even know how the fuck. You know what I mean? So I'm like, something's not right. So I know I said 200 meatballs, but I ended up having to do a different batch, which now I'm working with more particularly. And so that's another thing. It's like scaling, measuring the scale of. And it's like you gotta also see beyond the demand. You always have to see beyond the demand. And that's something I've been practicing, is seeing beyond the demand. So it's like as soon as I get the scaling correct, I'm taking flight. So what'd you call it? The vitality and energy has been so necessary. So you know, and that's basically what's going on here. So growing responsibly, and I only got like 2 more days. I know that sounds crazy, but it's like 5 years scaled into 2 days, right? Or am I gonna scale 10 years into 2 days? I don't know. I don't know. I gotta look beyond the demand. Anyways, I still have to look beyond the demand, and then I have to, because it's definitely not gonna be 2 days worth of work. It's gonna be different. I know that for sure. So market share, this is what brings market share, and I could feel the share market increasing, and so, or the market share increasing. So it's like I think that the problem is them, and I think that that is why. You know what I mean? Because for the longest time, this is like the same energy of like unhealed. It's like me not realizing the aspect of me that is unhealed. Obviously, the incestuous and prideful bullshit is over. But when it comes to the flatterer, yeah, I think that's what it is actually. Yep, I think that's what it is right there. It's finally showed itself. It's finally showed itself. Needle persona subtly provokes irritation until control is gained. Yeah. So it doesn't, oh my gosh. And then switchblade persona turns friendly to hostile instantly when opportunity arises. It doesn't recognize what it's doing as an irritation, because what it's doing, because let me be honest with you guys, and I want to explain manifestation right in a second, right? So basically, whatever it is that your original goal is going to be closer to you than the steps that you have to take to make that goal appear. So it's like, it's kind of like, oh, what's that thing called when you rendering? Oh, right. It's like when you render anything, when you render a vision, the vision already exists, so you can see the full potential of it, but the steps to take it still are necessary in order to like to basically accommodate the spaces in which the vision must fill, right? Basically. So the whole journey of manifestation is accommodating the spaces in which your vision is filling. That's it. That's the whole journey of manifestation. That energy is such a fucking distraction. They are the actual lines that they're trying to be the lines of your vision. So trying to box in your vision and tunnel it so that you can't expand. And that's the whole point. It's the tunnel isn't something that you're going through. The tunnel is something that you are expanding. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, so murderers coming out. So now they're being caught as a murderer. And I mean, it's not like they weren't known as that. It's more so that their murder is now being seen on all sides, the scale of their murder. Because, yeah, something like that. So they've been thrown out the speculative market finally, right? Which they basically refuse to overcome the challenge that pressured for high risk opportunity assessment. So they refuse to take risks. They refuse to take high risks, and they thought that that was like they thought that they wouldn't be. They thought that that was gambling, or they thought that they could project gambling energy at high risk opportunities, right? So like, remember what I talked about, where I said it's not gambling, right? When something is luck, right? So sees every relationship as a part of the long game, and that's what it was. They wanted to act as if, like, for example, chess master persona energy. Chess is not a gamble game, right? It's just a game, right? But at the same time, it's like the yeah, chess master persona is like them trying to cheat a chess master while pretending to be a chess master is kind of like a gamble in itself. But in that way, they were projecting their inner gambler. What is an inner gambler? Excuse me. Speculator, inner speculator, fortune seeker, impulsive. That's what it is. Oh, Ludo. No, that's not Ludomania, actually. So it's a ludomania. Yeah, that is what it is. Yeah, ludomania. Yep, that's what it is. Madness for games, obsession with playing. Yeah, there it is. They're a ludomaniac. And so their manic behavior is being seen. Yep. And so now there's a reverse, back to sender, and all sorts of stuff going on. Yep, there it is. Yeah, expanding market. Pressure for scaling with increasing demand. energy, vitality, grow responsibly, market share. So they wanted a share of market when it comes to play, game, and sport, the fifth house energy. That's not how the fuck life works. What? That's not how life works. What? It's like they wanted to be a part of celestial bodies. Like that's already, it's too late. Once you've done that, it's too late. Once you've wanted to, you gotta wait till next lifetime for you to try again with your life. That's crazy. Like, there's only specific things that come up in, you know what? Hold on a second, because I just realized something. Hold on a second. Oh, bars. Oh my god. That is fucking delicious. Let's make some ranch tomorrow. No. Yup. That is so much better. Obsessive. That's where they're ensnared. They like hit on the fifth house or something. Oh man, hold on. Where's my shit? Right here. Oh my goodness. I love these cucumbers. Listen to that crunch. That reminds me of why I really liked this lady who I no longer call my god aunt. And it was that when she would eat, she had a click in her jaw. It would go click, click, click. And I thought it was so cool. I've never seen anything like it. You know, I just think that God creates like really cool features for people. Features. That's what it is, features. So they wanted to block features. Features is what it was that I was trying to talk about yesterday that I was crying about. And I was really getting like frazzled and I made a 2-hour reading and it was just like, yeah, that was the word, features. I know that it was going hard and crazy and everything. And like literally, like all of that just to get the word features, yeah. Yep. Here's why. Because they try to make it seem like it was future reading. No. I couldn't make this up. Something made or done. See? Something that's made or done. So its original truth energy from Latin factura. See? Fact. Factura. In Russian, in English too, factorization, right? Factura. And then if you think about factoring or factorization into its original, right, shape, it's already something that existed, right? There you go. So when people try to like act like God like isn't real or whatever the fuck, remind them that facts exist and factorization is also a real thing and they could be easily factorized. They could be easily returned to sender. They could be easily rewired and dismissed and easily just removed kind of energy. Like they could just stop existing and their beingness will return to its original state, which is in form God, whether they like it or not. I mean, isn't that our all our journey is what they'll try and say afterwards, right? No, no. Some of us go the long way towards God, not the short way. Some of us go to God fully formed as a completely unique being from God, but at the same time, still holding on to the essence of God within us. So, you know what I mean? Some people, that's how the false light energy and all that stuff is the one that they want to be like not like God at all. But then, so when their energy becomes voided and their original presence is returned to sender, right? Returned back to their original state, factorized, they want to act like, how could it be? That's not fair. Da, 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 da. Now they're alone in the world and no one loves them and all this and that. And it's like, that's the energy that they were projecting, right? So that's what they get. So to do, to make, see, form, shape, appearance, structure, form, shape, eventually evolving, or form, shape, characteristic, you see, eventually evolving to also mean prominent or notable part of something, basically. Prominent. So let's look up prominent. To jut out, to jut, project, to stand out, to jut, easily seen, conspicuous, projecting, important, noteworthy, or leading, jutting forward. So that's the energy that they were trying to be. They were trying to jut forward. They were trying to do that. Yeah, it's not working anymore. Expanding market is still here with the rope holder persona, keeps others tied to past mistakes or debts, sees every relationship as event apart, long game. So they were trying to make it seem like it was a mistake for them to be around as they were jetting forward, as if that they weren't causing people to literally be in the energy of their of the person of their juttingness. They were trying to shield themselves and other people's notoriety in order to assume pride over self-righteousness, to make it seem like other people were making mistakes around them when it was them causing chaos and destruction, and then basically trying to like, yeah, they were doing the most. I don't know how else to explain to you how they were doing the most, but they were doing the most. And as they were doing the most, they were like, I don't know how to explain it to you, yo. They were doing the most. They were jetting forward. They were causing misfortune. Yeah. They were trying to make other people assume the misfortune that they were causing upon those people to be seemingly as if it were the people's mistakes and as if that those were debts and now the contract was broken. So it's basically like, yeah, they were causing heavy misfortune and then they would act like people were indebted to them when it comes to be fortunate. Like it was weird, it was crazy. So let me put myself as an example, right? So it was like, it's like favor for favor energy, except you didn't sign up to do favors for people and for individuals or for them, but they would cause you issues to where now you had to give up and relinquish. Yes, that's what it is. They tried to put a contract to make people indebted to them for relinquishment, as if that people were to relinquish to them as if that they had been indebted to them. and how they had appeared to be, how those people appeared to be indebted was only by the misfortune of the individual causing the misfortune. Okay, so let's look at relinquishment. So speculative market is here now, the correct one. So to leave behind, abandon, let go. Yeah, back again. Back again. To leave, abandon, give up. Yep. The act of giving up or letting go. That's why I felt that energy. So it was like people felt indebted to relinquish. And that's why the caution is here. Because the pressure for high risk opportunity assessment, you see, this was a really high risk opportunity. This was a really high risk but even it seems like you see what I mean? It seems like I just was like what? That's a high risk opportunity, but you didn't look like you were gambling anything at all. It looked like you know what I mean? Oh, it looked like you were saying everything according to how it was supposed to be said. Like it doesn't look like you're, you know what I mean? It looks like you're just doing things according to plan. Of course, you know, of course. But caution isn't something that's supposed to be seen, unlike that cat-like flattery energy. They're obviously being cautious, which means that they're not being cautious. Because anyone who's obviously cautious is not being cautious. They're being what? Obvious. Like they're being obvious. They're being predatory. You can tell anybody who's obviously being cautious is being predatory. Nobody is like, oh, don't, like, for example, for me personally, if I open up my laptop, right? I remember, oh my gosh, I opened up my laptop in front of my one of my coworkers, upper level coworkers, and I forgot that I had like a naked anime girl on my screen. So like it was just like I opened up my laptop and I was like, oh snap. Sorry, you had to see that. And she just laughs. And I'm like, oh yeah, you know, it just be like that, right? I don't want to have to explain to her that I got that off a porn game. She's my coworker, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to have to explain all that, right? This is an adult channel. So basically, I was like, you know, but that's another thing. If let's say I was assuming a judgment of myself or a perception of myself um, from another person's perspective, right? An optic, right? Um, then I would act differently. Let's just be honest. I would act differently. There would have been more things for me to be cautious about, which means that I would have had to actively engage with being cautious. Whereas caution to me is a subconscious action. Caution is something that you can only render subconsciously in order for you to basically anatomically allow yourself to relax without engaging caution at times of submittance. You know what I mean? I don't ever want to meet Jesus Christ face to face and in flesh and be cautious, especially visibly. Now, it's one thing for me to be cautious subconsciously, in which he would understand, right? He would see that, and he would also allow for himself to show me like trust. You see what I mean? So then there's also ground decision and truth and stability. So stability would be shown through by trust, right? In that way, if I were meeting Jesus Christ face to face in flesh right now, right? So in that way, you would truly understand like the meaning of caution. But when you're being audibly cautious, and I imagine if I knew that there was like a naked lady on my screen, right? But like I was also trying to hide some kind of aspect of myself. But let's say that aspect of myself is actually real. And so like I had been being like, oh my gosh, I don't want anybody to see this. Oh no, like, oh my gosh, no, I don't want to. It's obvious. People are gonna be like, what are they doing, right? Why are they being so cautious, right? So if there hadn't been any compassion in the situation, right, I would have been like, seen as an outlier, like something they're hiding something on their laptop, right? Because there's no trust. You see what I'm saying now? So in the reality of the situation, like I don't have to be cautious, but subconsciously I'm always cautious. So there's a grounded decision in truth when it comes to, so grounded decision in truth, right? So there's a truth behind why I got this, right, as a screen display, and why I'm not scared to show it, and why it's better that I do, right? And then the stability that is within that is so deeply rooted. It's so deeply rooted that it's like, it's uncompromising. Whereas there's that weird energy that just attempted to come through, knowing that there's a strong grounding, right? But the problem was that they weren't being cautious with a knowing that wasn't theirs. So now it's caught. Yeah, now it's caught. So we're going to figure that out now. So the reality of the situation where they were thinking that they were going to release or remove or relinquish stability for on behalf of me or the collective would be the awareness of high risk opportunities assessment. The high risk opportunity assessment obviously uses more than just caution. It also uses courage, right? So for example, the nobility within like the mountain climbing situation, I could have as easily slipped, right, in any moment. But at that moment, I took a step back so that I could do what? Risk assess. You see what I mean? Because the opportunity is already something that I'm doing. I'm already in the action of, it's already featuring the opportunity. High risk assessment featuring opportunity. You see what I'm saying? Now you see the importance of the underline. So what else is it? Is it featuring pressure? High risk assessment featuring pressure of opportunity. You see what I'm saying? Don't ever underestimate my writing again. Boaster. See? Demonic energy. I could tell. It tried to come through, try to shadow over me. Yeah, covets against others through assuming justice. They try to assume justice in a situation, hysterically competes with justice, right? Proverbs 27:2, James 4:16, Surah 31:18, Bhagavad Gita 16:4, 10 evil acts for a speech. We're still on for a speech, but everything else here, okay, so there's one thing that is in reverse. I mean, that is up, but everything else here is in reverse. So the defrauder is in reverse, so they can't fraudulate shit anymore. They can't pretend to do anything incestuous and prideful, or be incestuous or prideful, or force anyone to be in incestuous or prideful energy with that signal sower persona. They can't force people to prey upon thrones anymore, or angels. They can't force themselves to prey upon thrones or angels. Okay. And that energy is the flatterer, copycat. You see what I mean? So they're quite predatory, right? Flatterer and boaster. They're quite predatory when it comes to high glory. Okay? They're quite predatory when it comes to high glory. Okay? That's how they've quote unquote survived. It's not their survival. So let's find out what weapons they've been using in order to push for preying on high glory. Okay, that's the weapon. So bait fisher persona in reverse. Obviously, these are disengaged with, right? So drops tempting opportunities that conceal traps. You see what I'm saying? So they can no longer be in that energy anymore. They just can no longer be in that energy anymore. So now there's like a forward movement, and they don't want to be cleansed out. That's basically it. They don't want there to be logic within the scenario, right? They don't want people to justify their logic and allow for logic to commence, right? They don't want the commencement of logic. Let's do. Yeah, they don't want the commencement of logic to begin, initiate, to start. So let's commence, right? So let's. The notification I got right now was crazy. Okay, Stonewall persona refuses information or access to exhaust opponents. Okay, Stonewall persona. All right, so they can't be in debouché energy anymore. They can't be in that false, they can't be in their disposition anymore. They're being put in a worse state of reality. They can no longer sustain their own disposition. They couldn't overcome their disposition, and they couldn't project, they can no longer project their disposition. The disposition that made them assume the belief and then stopped believing of helping others hide truths in exchange for loyalty. So they, first of all, would help others hide truth in exchange for loyalty. I love this. I remember telling the guy, the hypocrite motherfucker, nigga, right? I remember telling him, yeah, just don't tell anybody that. You know what I mean? He's like, man, I ain't got nobody to tell. I'm like, yeah, I'm counting all the people you're telling. Like, I already know who you're gonna tell. Like I'm already there watching you tell people. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't really give a fuck. Like, you really think I'm sitting? I was gonna announce it the first day. Girl, what are you talking about? But I was like, let me keep a hush hush and tell this one nigga. I want to see how many people really think that they're about to betray all of us. Anyways, I don't know. I don't know what came over me. I don't know what came over me, okay? I don't know what kind of like power. I'm still learning about it, okay? I'm still learning about this power, all right? But I don't know. I don't know. It's my fifth house, okay? My fifth house is a little, you know what I mean? It's a little, people really don't like me because of my fifth house, okay? A lot of people don't like me because of my fifth house. It's just the way that I do things, I guess. You could say for a little bit today, even I had to do some shadow work when it came to like bullying. Like, I was like, am I the biggest bully for real? Like, let me be for real. Because to be honest, everything anyone has ever done to me, I could do onto them so much worse, but I choose not to. And it's not about me being the better person or pompous, it's that I'm just busy, like genuinely. And the thing that I prove to myself every day is that I keep myself busy and that I put myself in the position to arise to the occasion that I know I will succeed in because that is discipline. You see what I mean? And God is good always. And that's also really important. And it's not really about, oh, because I love myself. No, it's because that is the way of life. You know what I mean? Yeah, discipline is kind of a way of life. You know what I mean? And once you do it, you kind of like can't stop. Can't stop, won't stop. You know what I mean? So, refuses information or access to exhaust opponents, helps others hide truth in exchange for loyalty. So they must have thought that they got my loyalty of some sort. They probably thought that they were breaking like my heart or something about loyalty. Another thing is that like one of the coworkers that felt like the situation was a little like, you know what I mean? He was like, oh, well, they were just going through it a little bit. Like, you know what I mean? They wanted to act like they were in the energy of like, I told them like, oh, I think it's like a sweet. So they were like, what a poor, unfortunate thing to like, I'm like, yeah. That's when I started like, I was like, yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. But if you had heard me collective, if you had heard me correctly, you would have heard when I said, yeah, I adore Pisces. I never said that I adored the motherfucking nigga. I said I adored Pisces. Like, there's nothing I can do about the fact that I love the 12th house. Remember when I said play in the 5th and not the 12th? These motherfuckers think that just because they got 12th house energy, that they can play games in the 12th house. That's their biggest weakness. That's their biggest weakness. Like, and that's the fact that everybody knows that. Like, why do you think I adore the fifth? I said the fifth. See, why do you think I adore the 12th house? Because the 12th house is the one thing that will be like, all right, come at me. I'll carry the cross. And then you shoot, and it'll hit them. And they'll die. And then they resurrect. Right? That it kind of is like that, right? So it's kind of fun. Wait, hold on. Hold on, y'all. So, the liar energy was being debunked. They're being debunked. They're seen as a false shepherd. They're being called all sorts of names in the spiritual realm. Leads others into danger in guise of protection. In guise of protection. Probably using loyalty that they thought that they had. Silent partner persona. Influences outcomes without visible involvement. So, you know, just because something is invisible doesn't mean it's what is it? Let me find it. Just because something is invisible doesn't mean it's inaudible. You know? And that's how they were causing silent irritation. Because it's like they were treating people as if that they were deaf. So I'm sure they themselves couldn't hear shit. I could be like, I'm actually a multi-trillionaire. And they'd be like, oh, where? I just told you. You see how being a liar isn't a good thing? Because then you can't hear it. You can't hear the truth. Actually, I'm the empress of the galaxy. I own all the money, technically. I own where the money comes from. Technically, God does. God does first. So, I'm a galactic red Skywalker. So it's like, you know how there's the 7 heavens? There's the 7 heavens of kingdom. And then there's the 7 heavens beyond that. And there's the 9 heavens. There's so many heavens. There's a new heaven, a new earth. There's always new. It's like construction projects. They just keep going. They just keep going. Once you know, can't stop, won't stop. It's more of a fact. And that's why I don't really care for people calling it boasting. Because it's like, they're obviously the ones that want to find something to boast about, right? This is fucking delicious. Excuse my language. So that's what it is. Okay. So map maker persona in reverse. So they can't They're seen as like that false clown energy heavy. Like they want to be the jester, they want to be the Joker so bad. And I'm not talking about the Joker, you know. I'm talking about the jester. So not them sending me pictures and images of it. Oh my gosh. So, characterized by playful, mischievous, and often humorous entity behavior, these entities are frequently associated with trickster, the trickster. They thought they were the trickster. Machine elves. There they are, the elves. Trickster archetypes. Okay, elves. That's what they are. Oh, it's literally there. I kid you not. I knew it was a jinn. I knew it was a jinn. In Yoruba culture as Eshu or Esu, right? Esu is a deity known as a trickster and a messenger, facilitating communication between human and divine. Yeah, it's in our culture. Esu, the fool, Loki, yeah, a coyote. No wonder I've been getting a lot of coyote energy. But yeah, that's another thing. So yeah, that's what it is. That Yeah, so they can't pretend to have a shadow market anymore. They're kicked out all the markets, the perfect competition market, the shadow market. So they can't get any respect anymore. They can't get any hidden stability anymore. And there's no hidden trust. Yeah. They're being seen as a sorcerer, extreme limits. Remember the limits I was telling you about? Sorcery. Because, like, if you don't know shit, right? If you think that eating shit is what allows you to expand, and let's say now you're always eating shit all the time, now you're filled with diseases that would stop you definitely from expanding, right? That's basically their issue. Their issue is that they were always abusing authority despite God's word, right? God's word, God's promise. So God will promise them something and they will abuse their authority and they'll project that same abuse of authority as if that somebody else is doing it and then uses dirty false begotten information. You see what I mean? They would project that they did project that same abuse of authority on other people, and then they would see how people would react to that abuse of authority, and then they would attempt to make it seem as if that they were defined by the overcoming of their abuse of authority, but other people's overcoming of the individuals who abuse the authority, the sorcerer's abuse of authority. You see what I mean? There's a lot going on here with Exodus 22:18, Deuteronomy 18:10 through 12, 2 Kings 21:6, Isaiah 47:9, 12 through 13, Micah 5:12, Galatians 5:20, Revelations 21:8, 22:15, Surah 2, 102, 7, 116, 20:69, Artha Veda 8, 10, 10 evil acts, 4 of speech, 3 of mind. But you see how it was trying to get into the mind? Because that was its main source or acts of the way. So it's really fucked up. It's a real abuse of authority here, right? So it's like you know how a psychopath is usually still as smart, if not smarter, than the people that they're trying to murder, right? So when you have there's a murderer, but a murderer can be stupid, right? They can commit a stupid crime, and then there's a psychopathic murderer. like Dexter type shit, right? Where they accommodate their lifestyles for their crimes that they're consumed by. Basically, they're consumed by the false fulfillment of their own vision. So it's quite literally an enemy. So you see what I'm saying? The copycat. So whereas we basically consume our vision, we take in our vision. Once it's fulfilled, we make of it fruit, and then we honor the fruits of our labor, and then we basically because then the day comes where we are able to basically take part in the fruits of our labor, right? But they don't commit to labor. They don't commit to growth, expansion. They don't commit to forthcoming. They don't commit to leadership. They don't get a real vision. They're not visionaries, but they are consumed by crime in an attempt to overt visionary and vision. You see what I mean? To overt vision. You see what I'm talking about now? They attempt to overt vision with crime. Okay? And now they're being thrown out the monopolistic market because it's very dangerous. There it is, the authority that was supposed to be begotten, right? They didn't want there to be, first of all, they get irritated by the pressure for centralized control of unique resources or products. So where it would be the probability of access would be depending on the scale of demand. You see what I'm saying? They couldn't accept that it was beyond their control. And so they were consumed by crime. Yeah. So that's what it is, collective. So now these ones are coming up for the collective shadow economy. So the pressure for operating where formal economy gaps exist. Now you understand why there's formal economy gaps. There's gaps, right? So that you can fill them and they're part of your vision as already fulfilled. Thus is the power of manifestation, bringing you hidden stability. You see what I mean? So pressure for efficiency plus low cost provisions, right? Pressure for efficiency. So basically pressure for low cost provisions. So to receive provisions by them being low cost, but then featuring efficiency. So that comes by humility in a perfect competition where we can offer value responsibly. So there being respect. So for example, today one of the lead chefs, right, the leaders, one of the leads was like, oh my gosh, she just keeps singing. Like, I don't get it how she keeps singing, right? I'm just singing. I'm like, no, watch me go. I'm like, no, I'm singing. I'm like, wait, I forgot the lyrics to this song in the middle of me cutting. I look at my thing. I'm like, I hear the beat. I'm like, okay. And then I just continue going, right? So everyone is just sitting there, cut, listen, just in silence, listening to me sing as I sing. Cut, chopping it up, just singing. At some point, I'm like, I remember Royal Blood. I'm like, I started freaking the other chick out, the one who thought she was big boss, big energy, but she's actually the biggest loser. I started freaking out. I'm in your window. I'm at your door. You've never been this low. I forgot it. I'm at your door. I'm at your never been this low. I've never been this down before. And that's just the part I remember. I've never been this down before, and it shows. I got love on my fingers, lust on my tongue. You say that you want it, so come out and get some. Heart is a heartache. I'm not I don't remember that part. I said, come little monster. I mean, run little monster, for you know who I am. That's what I was singing. So I was just like having a ball, you know. You know what I mean? I was literally just having the time of my life. And yeah, map maker persona. So charts others' lives to predict and manipulate others. So they thought that they could chart these people. There they are. Now they're really coming out. Hey, I knew it. You know, I knew it. There was always some sort of something. There was always some sort of something weird. I always stick around whenever I feel like there's something going on. You know, if I feel like you're all good and everything is fantastic, I'll probably leave early. Not gonna lie. I'll be like, all right, I gotta go. Everything seems really great here. You know, the energy is so good. I'm gonna go feel it at home. You know what I mean? But when something is off, I'll be like, wait a minute. I can't go home in this energy. You know what I mean? I can't go home and take that fuck ass energy with me. Like, that's how it will follow me home, find out my address. Like, fuck that. You know, I'm the type of person that will go live somewhere else for a very long time just to make sure that some fuck ass energy doesn't come back home with me type shit. And that's the reality of the situation. So they wanted to make it seem like they could chart that prospect. Now it's expanding. Now the availability for other people to feel more secure and stable in their lives is like expanding, and they're acting like it's causing vulnerabilities for them. It's them projecting vulnerabilities in order for those vulnerabilities that they got to be healed by us. Mm-mm. It's the pressure of the monopolistic market, exactly. Pressure for centralized control of unique resources and products. So people are now looking for more specialized, you know what I mean? Stabilities and comforts. And they can't accept the fact that it's unconditional. Exactly. It's unconditional. There's no conditions to it. It's unconditional and they can't stand it. The thing about it in life is that they had already signed a contract in life for them to only receive with conditions. Yes, they didn't get into 5D. You're right. Whoever in the future had seen that, they never did get to 5D. Like I said, 5D is love and love is unconditional. I mentioned this a long time ago. But basically, once you get past 5D, then you understand living life freely. And they hadn't gotten to that point where unconditional love and respect and joy and all those things could be available to them because they weren't ready to provide that. No, because they never agreed or accepted, or they believed that it existed first, right? They're hypocrites. And then they disbelieved, which is due to their own unfaith. They made seem as if the belief was actually there when it wasn't. And then when time came for the belief to be checked and tested, disbelief was found instead, which means that they had stolen from other people their own belief, or tried to and attempted to turn people away or turn others away from that belief. Which is why now people are looking for more centralized and specialized control of unique resources and products. Because now, for example, borscht and stuff like that. So, like somebody, the other cooks was like, I loved your borscht. Like, it was really good. I really enjoyed it. I added a little bit of the and I liked it of the other person's dish. And I was like, well, I'm a little offended, but okay. And there's a specific specialized amount of belief that I would hope that holds a hope in that. And it's that, let me be honest, I didn't add allspice. I was supposed to add allspice, but I didn't add allspice. And I was mentioning sour cream so much that people didn't even think that there would have been a spice missing in there, because duh, I'd be spice queen, right? But another thing is that I don't think that they would be able to handle allspice, right? I don't think that's something that they would have been able to handle inside my borscht, right? But I added everything else in there. Everything was perfect, literally, except for those two things. I even remembered the lemon last minute. But then the thing about it is that there's a big reason as to why that had all occurred the way that it did, and God is truly good always. He really is good always. So Yeah, there it is. Veil weaver persona covers events with layers of misdirection. Yeah, they thought that they had control, and that was what it was that they were trying to control. So they couldn't accept the fact that they couldn't accept the monopolistic, and the monopolistic couldn't accept them. The reality of the situation is because there are set conditions to covering events with layers of misdirection. If they attempted to make it seem as if that there was a monopoly over that, then that would have had to exist within an unconditional retrospect. But because they had already submitted against the unconditionality and for conditionality, they can only work within, what you call it, you see, extreme fucking limits. You see what I'm saying? But the problem now is that they can't work at all because their sorcery is being denied. Right? Crown polisher persona, there they are, keeps those in power looking good to preserve their own position. So they wanted to make it seem as if the people who were in power were in power. See my quotes? They weren't actually in power. The people who they were crown polishing didn't have any crowns. So they were making themselves look like fools. So for example, this really important person came into our restaurant, super important. I'm like asking the most random ass motherfucking questions, finding out like really random facts about this guy, and I'm like, wow, that's super actually cool. Like now I'm thinking deeper, I'm thinking with more wisdom in the situation, right? And there they are trying to act like they're so important and trying to act like those people that they're talking about are so important and trying to name drop. They're trying to like bring up situations, da 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 da, right? And then that's how they got me. That's how somebody else, one of the lead, thought that I was like them because I mentioned them and I was like, yeah, he works so hard. And the reason I mentioned them was because I genuinely noticed that they worked real hard, right? And it wasn't to like polish their crown because I have no idea if they have a crown or not, okay? I'm not there to inspect if they have a crown or not, okay? I'm not there to polish whatever or keep my position of power in the kitchen where I'm not like where my lead role is being Earth Angel. Like I'm not there to be lead chef, chef de partie. I'm not there to be executive chef. I'm not there. No, I'm there to be Earth Angel. Okay. So I'm there to be Empress of the Galaxy, Galactic Red Skywalker. I mean, that's me. I'm not there to compete. I'm not there to take any position, name, or title or anything like that. I'm not there to be dollar, the money, money. I'm not there to be that. That's not what God sent me there for. Like I said, so they can place any kind of title that they want in the books and say that I did that and that. To me, that's all skill. Chef de partie, skill. Executive, that's skill. That's all skill. None of that is a true title, unlike the one that God gives with the crown in Christ. Mm-hmm. The one that God gave me in Christ is my eternal. Do you understand? So, period. So they were trying to like, that's why it's clearing things up now. Like it's a big spiritual awakening, right? And so what you call it? It's beautiful. I love watching people spiritually awaken, and I love people watching people ascend. Are you kidding me? That's amazing. It's like amazing to watch because then it's like God's promise. It is God's promise, right? That's what you know what it's like to come here as an earth angel, and you think that it's scary to first of all, it becomes easier and easier over lifetimes to accept the fact that God's promises do come true exactly as God promised them, right? It becomes easier because at first, right, what human beings truly struggle with when it comes to promises being fulfilled and the way that they're supposed to be fulfilled and how they're supposed to be fulfilled and all that jazz, right? And the faithfulness that you got to have is the faithfulness of effort, the effort and faith that you got to really put in order for the promise to come to vision. And that's the reality. That's where people struggle with the most. And so it's like it becomes easier over lifetimes to accept the fact that, you know what I mean, when God promises something, it does come true exactly as he says it. But what you call it, they want to be hypocritical about the situation, right? I don't even know how, like, it just, everything became so light and like so like simple and easy and like relaxed that I don't even think there was anything else to say. It just maybe that's what you guys needed to know, is that it does become easier over lifetimes. You know what I mean? Always look forward to your next life. Also, state controlled market. There you go. State control market. Okay. So pressure for central coordination of resources and production. So you have um, pressure for centralized control of resources, of unique resources and production. So you have pressure for control of unique resources and production featuring centralization. Then you have pressure for central coordination. Pressure for central of resources and coordination. You see what I'm saying? Once it's been centralized, then there's pressure on it. You see what I mean? And it features coordination, and now the coordination begins. See, it commences. How does it commence? Through alignment. That's what it came through as, yeah, because I felt alignment, right? I just felt like I literally mentioned how alignment feels. I was like, yeah, just everything felt so easier and lighter. Alignment, right? So justified following governance. And governance, true governance, is always with God. True understanding of governance is with God. If you really want to understand hierarchy, understand the hierarchy of the heavens. When you understand the hierarchy of the heavens and the ranking of the heavens, then you understand how governance works. Order. Governance. Let's look it up. Okay? There's a bunch of cards here. So you have to steer, pilot, guide, direct, rule, guide, steer, to govern, rule, to rule or direct, act, process, manner of governing, leadership, control, administration of an organization or state, steering, guiding, right? Like a helmsman steering a ship, like a helmsman, that's the one. A helmsman. I like that word. That's the word. That's the word. That's what I've been looking for. A helmsman. Helmsman. Not a driver, a helmsman. Also, wait a minute. Helmsman. There you are. There's Helm. You know Helmheim? Helheim? Yeah. So, roof protection, covering, tiller of the willer of the ship. So, let's find it. Isn't that Nut? Yeah, it is Nut. Yeah, that's why I have that channel named Aurora Nut Nephthys. Yeah. So Nut and Nephthys are too important. So you have Nut, the sky, right? Arches over the earth, protective canopy. That's the helm, right? Daughter of Shu, and Tefnut, air and moisture, or Geb, the earth, right? And then you have Nephthys, death, mourning, and protection of the dead. Guardian of the underworld, often paired with her sister Isis. See? So house and a basket hieroglyph on her head, sometimes with wings, daughter of Geb and Nut, sister of Isis, Osiris, Set, wife of Set. There, wife of Set. Nephthys represents mourning, protection, and liminal space between life and death. There it is, Nephthys. Yep. Yeah. Elysian fields in Tartarus. Yep. Stern just detached. Dominion over the dead, protection and mourning, active in rituals, rebirth and protection, passive, ruling in the realm, enforcing. So masculine energy, passive, feminine energy, active. Yeah. Guide and protector, whereas ruler, aka
the scale, understanding of scale. That's what it is. So it's less of a ruler. An appraiser, evaluator, assessor, estimator, metrologist, calibrator, surveyor, quantifier. There it is, quantifier, gauge. No. Metrologist. That's close. I feel like it's evaluator. Yeah, rather than ruler, more like evaluator. Yeah. It would be I feel like it is calibrator. Is it calibrator? Calibrator doesn't seem right. Why? Because assessor is not right. Quantifier is not right. Evaluator is definitely not right, right? So you got, yeah. And these words can always be temporary until well adjusted. I feel like it's a metrologist. Yeah, it's a metrologist. It's metrology. So, yeah, it's metrology. Yep. Yep. The realm of metrology. Oh my gosh. You guys are not making memes, right? Of Metro City, right? Don't tell me that the movie went deeper than we thought. Metrology. I knew I liked it for a reason. It did blow up for a reason. So measure the study of discourse. The study of discourse. Discourse. The study measurement. Units, accuracy, reliability, and measurements. Metrology. The realm of metrology. Yeah. So they couldn't accept that. Something in that. Yeah, they're still trying to do it. My gosh. So they were thrown out of the regulated market earlier because they couldn't
comply with newly imposed standards. That was what it was that I mentioned that about, because the bitch put on her headphones when that was not what you're, that was against the rules. So they didn't want to do that. So they were thrown out of the regulated market, and that was the last of it. And that's the last that they were heard of. And then you got the pressure for coordination amongst many small players, right? So pressure for coordination, remember, amongst many small players. And then you have pressure for central coordination. So the whole emphasis is on coordination, right? So the emphasis is on coordination, and here we are back to the beginning. The state control market, like what people thought it would be, right? The vision, right? You see what I'm talking about now? Why it's so important for you to heal? Because you don't know how long you've been expanding on the same vision until you're on your next vision. And by the time you're onto your next vision, it's like so much work that you put into your past. You think that it's so much more effort to your next vision, but it's like, yeah, sometimes it is, but sometimes it's not. And you really gotta be the metrologist of the situation. Get it? You gotta really be the metrologist of the situation. You really gotta gauge when enough is enough, you know? And sometimes we can't do it on our own, which is why there's so many lifetimes and so many opportunities to do so, which is why it's so dumb to think that assessing taking a high risk assessment, right, wouldn't give you more than what the opportunity is providing already. You can't be scared to make a high risk assessment. You can't. You see what I'm saying? You see how easy it becomes? Just because something is high risk doesn't mean that it's a gamble. You're insured the opportunity already. So the best thing you could do about the situation and circumstance when it comes to an opportunity is expand on it, stabilize it, ground it the best that you can. You know, you can't take an opportunity for granted, okay? You never know when you're going to get that opportunity again. And that's why a lot of people get stuck on their old visions, but you never know when you'll be able to move on from your previous vision as well. That's why it's so important for you to be the metrologist of the situation. And why you'll always be given the opportunity to be able to see a bigger vision than the one that you did before. Okay? All right. So unity. The whole thing is unity and alignment, right? So we're here. And I kid you not, look at corporation right here. So what comes out from, because you don't even realize you're doing this once you've mastered the market systems, right? You don't even realize you're running over bridges, building, scaling mountains, you know what I mean? Building foundations, temples. You don't even realize it because it becomes a subconscious thing, right? That's where the caution is supposed to exist. You see what I'm saying? Because it's a program. It's part of the program. It's part of the script. And when a lot of people are afraid and of even beginning, then how are they ever going to understand what it really means to master? You know what I mean? And so corporation is here. It's what comes out of the whole situation, what comes out through the coordination, right? Through mastering the coordination, the feature, what really is being given here through the centralized systems, right? And they refused because they couldn't even get past the emerging market. They couldn't even start initiative. They didn't even have the initiative. See, pressure for new opportunity in untapped areas. They didn't even have the initiative. It's like someone being placed in a position where, like, as if that there was always space. There was always going to be space. There was always going to be some sort of room. There's high demand for something, and what you're just going to give the energy opportunity away to some lazy fuck, to someone who's always bragging, to someone who's always fucking around, like to someone who's like, you know what I mean? Like, obviously not. And it's gonna be the risk of the assessment that they don't understand, that's being done by the divine and by all those around them, is how did they get that far to begin with, which is what they've been projecting at us to make seem as if that it was in their what? Right, rank, and authority. So imagine you're looking at someone who is a constant survivor of all sorts of crazy ass shit, and then you're asking the survivor how come they got into a position of power and authority. Meanwhile, the person that committed crimes against the survivor, that flunked their way all throughout their life. I mean, I was talking about my education and just like going through what I was going through, and they lost track. They lost meaning immediately. Yeah, I know how it feels like to get like them grades, and so they think that they are the giver of provisions, right? They remember when we were talking about provisions, low cost provisions, right? There was something about low cost provisions, right? They never even could even understand the kind of servitude that it takes to actually provide low cost provisions and to be a, because let's think of what people would assume a low cost, what like individuals would assume a low cost provision would be, right? Canned beans. Well, there's just a lot of beans, right? You make a lot of beans, you can them, right? But what they're not seeing is Uncle Ben's beans and how many years of building resources and building stability and building this and building that and building all these kinds of opportunities and lands and providence to the point of accelerating a movement in order to then witness the people who the opportunity was, the low cost provision was to be provided to, not only working for them but also receiving those low cost provisions. So who do low cost provisions really belong to, right? And who's really providing it, and how are they doing so? So it's the same thing where it's like, oh, you think you can sell something for a buck or two because what? Because you're trying to appeal to a certain audience, but then at the same time, what happens? Right? What have you really done in this scenario and situation? And so let's think of like Kylie Jenner, for example. I've mentioned her before, and her pricing her lip kits for $20, $30, right? People were talking about it's expensive. Well, the people making the stuff, the products, they're building their wealth all up to the opportunity to when they can actually use the product so that the low cost provision of it would be enabled. So let's talk about Fenty Beauty, right? And Fenty Beauty, her products were mad expensive, but at the end of the day, the people who needed to get the product, who were in urgent need of the product, received the product. And then she made other products that then did supply low cost provisions for those that they were necessary to provide for, right? It's all in the market. They wouldn't even understand shit about that. But they want to act like it's territory that has already been tapped out. So that's why they were never allowed to even come through to initiative. They never could be a pioneer. See? Because they're what? Flatterer. They're a copycat. So that was over. That was over before it even got started, am I right? And so they were caught. Oh, there was a lot that they were trying to do, bro. There was a lot that they were trying to do, man. Let's just say there was a lot that they were trying to do. A lot. It was too much. Here's the high risk assessment, the speculative market. Yeah, them boasting. That's where they were doing it, right? Then being a flatterer, prideful, copycat, incestuous. I guess we're almost done. Signal, solar persona, throne watcher, defrauder, obsessive, rope holder. Yeah, I guess we're almost done. So might as well read that other one, right? Deboucher with the consolidating market. So they thought that they were getting past the emerging market into the deregulated market. So they thought that they were going to be unregulated. So just like them trying to listen to music or get extra food or something like that, right? they thought that they were going to be unregulated within a circumstance or situation, right? Yeah, because they assumed that their boasting was covering up their actions as if that they had some sort of courage, right? So the whole thing was to make seem as if that there was some sort of, would you call it, responsibility, that they were accountable for innovating. You see what I'm saying? They wanted to make it seem as if that there was a responsibility, that they were accountable for innovating. But that was through false jurisdiction. They assumed that, you remember, it's like someone stabbing someone, right? They stab someone, and then the person has to get, what you call it, stitches. And now the person who's getting stitches, who got stitches, is getting $2 million. And now they're like, well, if it wasn't for them stabbing, that the person wouldn't have gotten to it. That's not how it works, right? I just want to make it clear that they were running. That's what the debauché energy is about. Like you're really gonna take one part of the law and you're not gonna see the other side. That's another aspect of it. They think that they can be hypocritical in that same energy as well, as if that they can see recompense and then covet against recompense after that they had committed crimes that had now triggered recompense. You know what I mean? So they were also, because of that constant thing, like they were constantly doing it, they the consolidating market finally threw them out, which has to do with balance, right? So it's the pressure for combining resources to form larger entities. So let's explain it this way. Pressure, so it's for resources to form larger entities. You see what I'm saying? For resources to form larger entities featuring pressure of combination. It's alchemy, right? So balance is here, in which alchemy and understanding of alchemy would be like the Libra energy. It would be what is that? What does that say right there? Solid. You see what I'm saying? Solid, which has to do with fact, real, true, essential, solid. So it's about merging fairly, right? Allowing for emerging fairly, which makes sense why the emerging market was there. You see what I'm saying? And then what is that? Trusted authority. You see what I'm saying? So the trust would have come from the stability, right? And then it would have been allowing for authority. And then the merging fairly, merger energy, would combine to cause and to allow for trusted authority. So now they thought that they could, that's where they thought that they could commit all those debauchery, flattery, all that jazz at, causing mild irritations. So it's about mild irritations. Oh, so that's another thing. So that's how it's measured, through potency. Yeah. Degree, strength, potency, intensity. Wow. Potency and intensity. That's what is being measured. Vigor, power, force. Excuse me. Vigor. Yeah, vigor. Yep. A metrologist gauges the vigor, and yeah, that's basically it. Metrologist understands. I'm making sure. Hold on. So they so they wanted to be a metrologist. Yeah. There it is. Chain switcher. Replaces one dependency with another so control never ends. And that's what it is. So now we're back to accounting and accountability. Right, collective? Yeah. So dependency, they wanted to, so a dependency, oh my gosh, a dependency only works when a dependency is one of those things that is like, what is it called again? What is it called again? Um, oh man, what the heck is it called again? Is contractually conditional. So that's what it is. Replaces one basically contractual obligation with another so control never ends. So they assume, remember, accountability over responsible innovations. So to seem as if that there is conditionality within what metrospect. Within audit, there it is. Yeah. So they act as if that they can predict audit. That's what it is. They feel as if that they can predict audit. That's perfect. That's exactly what it is that has been causing the issues. That's exactly what it is. They assume judgment over audit. They really do. They assume judgment over audit mad hard. Yep, they're getting caught now. Mischievous in reverse and gospel. They couldn't even make it. They couldn't even make it to leash holding. Yeah, they couldn't even make it. That's it. Yep, they couldn't even make it. They couldn't even make it. They really assume they think to assume predictability over audit. Yeah. There it is. Yep. Floats between groups gathering scraps of influence. Yep. There they are. Bestialis. We saw it earlier. But acts against natural order, sexually harasses animals. Exodus 22:19, Surah 780 through 81. 10 evil acts, third body evil. There, they're caught. Wow. It's crazy, bro. Hold on. Flows between groups, gathering scraps of influence. So they're the type of person to like go against natural order to cause ineffectiveness. Yeah, deregulated market. They thought that they would this is the steps that they thought they could take, right? They thought they could enter any market, deregulate it, emerge through it, and then regulate it themselves. You see what I'm saying? And they thought that they were going to do this by gathering scraps of influence, but first acting against natural order. And they were attempting to supervise over initiative as if they could predict audit. So let's get audit. Because I said that something, so they might think that they're invisible, but they're not inaudible, right? So to hear, adhere, right? Things heard, right? Something heard, right? Literally. Reading of accounts. Something heard means that accounts are being read. Oh my gosh. Is that the trumpet? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Trumpets. Yeah. So that's what it is. That's where those like auditory, like false auditory hallucinations kind of energy is coming through. So they're going to be receiving auditory hallucinations, visible hallucinations, stuff like that. A lot because of abuse of authority, abuse of power, and abuse of account. Yeah. Abuse of somebody else's account. They were going in and out of accounts, obsessing over accounts. Yeah, see, because they desired. See what I mean? Desiring below. Look, seeks unfulfillment to weaponize pain. You see, desiring below content. They would desire for themselves below content in order to project it into people in the consolidating market through subtly provoking irritation until control is gained. And the subtle provocation of control was, what'd you call it? Reading into individuals' accounts without their permission, privacy, breaching privacy through attempting to measure and predict audit. Which, yeah. So, yeah, they failed to merge fairly before. This is something that has occurred before, especially with bestialis energy there. Yeah, exactly. It's going in reverse now. They failed to merge fairly before, and then they also hadn't learned their lesson, right? So sorcery in reverse now. It's not working anymore. Yeah. And it had never really worked before. It's just that it had to get caught somehow, right? So Netweaver persona, builds interconnected obligations so no one can move freely without them. So the interconnected obligations had to do with defrauder and curtain whisper persona. So mostly curtain whisper persona advises leaders from the shadows avoiding accountability. There you go. So they would assume the audit of what they would see as leaders, who they would see as leaders. And then they think to assume accountability instead of. So that's what I'm trying to say. It's like they would both be running away from accountability and then also trying to chase accountability. So it's like, it's more so that they were chasing after accountability and accountability was running away. It's like they thought that they had to be compensated. They were jealous over compensation. Yeah, they were jealous over compensation. They were envious of compensation. It's wild because even me as a person who, you know what I mean? As a person who was trafficked, there's plenty of things that I never got compensated for to this day. But I never even thought to be jealous or be envious, or I never put myself in the position to be envious. Like I said, discipline is so important. You see why discipline is so important? So it maintains illusion of group unity while steering it to its own goal. So it's someone who is really envious of compensation. They were also projecting that energy. Yeah, Rat King persona thrives in environments of chaos, distress, and scarcity. Yeah, and there they are, unholy and stupid. See? Unholy, stupid. Projects self-immorality as intent by perjury. Attempts to falsify ordinance. Yeah, Leviticus 27 through 8. 2 Timothy 3:2. Sutta 9:108. Bhagavad Gita 16:7. 10 evil acts. 3 of mind. Consecrate yourselves and be holy, because I am the Lord your God. Keep my decrees and follow them. I am the Lord who makes you holy. So you must keep my statutes and commit none of these abominations, either native born or foreigners residing among you. Hold on, y'all. So they wanted to have sole proprietorship over rendership, is what I'm seeing. Yeah. They wanted to have sole proprietorship over rendership, right? So remember, it's a ship. So it takes a helm. helmsman. They wanted sole proprietorship. That's what I had seen or heard or felt. But it's more so like they wanted to be a helmsman over rendership. That's what it is. They wanted to be a helmsman of rendership. It's ridiculous. Oh my gosh. Yeah, it is stabilization. Yep. So yeah, it is stabilization. So they wanted power over stabilization, the entirety of stabilization. The way that anything could be stabilized, they wanted power over. That was it. That was why that was the why of them doing all this shit. That's why the Four of Pentacles. Archangel Metatron, okay. Archangel Raziel, yep. Archangel Jophiel, no wonder. No wonder. Those are those main three I've been seeing quite a lot lately. Yeah. Archangel Metatron with mentorship. Cosmic order. Spiritual laws. Guardian angels too. No wonder I had to light my guardian angel. And Archangel Jophiel came to me recently. I only started recently really working with Archangel Jophiel. Yeah. Sorry, that was something cool I did. They wanted to abuse those main angels, basically Archangel Metatron, Archangel Raziel, and Archangel Jophiel. So is it a warning? I feel like it's a warning, and we're being warned about some sort of specific kind of action to maintain our order and peace, moral discernment. Yeah, there it is. See, we're being warned about something. Oh, it's off in the distance too. Oh, great. You know, when you're being warned about something, it doesn't mean that you can avoid it. It just means that you're being given a leg up
you could say, for discipline, trust, potential. So I pray for ease. I definitely pray for ease. I definitely pray for ease. Yeah. I pray for ease. So it's here. So the ease, Nine of Pentacles energy. So I give that to God. Yeah. Yeah, and there it is. A routine. Planned routines. Yeah, planned routines. Okay. So be careful when it comes to planned routines. Okay. Because there's a blockage that there's going to be a breakthrough about. And that breakthrough about planned routines, yeah, is going to allow for jurisdiction. And jurisdiction will allow for action, obviously. Yeah, there it is. Eight of Pentacles. But instead of ease, there's, I don't know, I'm getting like sublimation, projected sublimation. So it's a return to sender, because that's what we were supposed to be cautious about, which was cautious. Yeah, which we were cautious about, because we already got the Knight of Pentacles. We already prayed for ease, and the ease was already given to God. So now that Eight of Pentacles is now being given to God, because they thought that they could make us work hard and then for peace. But peace was already given to God. You see what I'm saying? So ease is going to return once the cycle is over. Yeah, devil in reverse. Devil couldn't receive anything in the situation, not even the work. Yeah, caught. They were caught. The caution was used. How was the caution used? How was the caution used? Yeah. In happiness. Yeah. In happiness. Yep. Caution was used in happiness. Yep. Tower moment. That's a tower moment. The jurisdiction when it comes to, yeah, there's defeat. So the defeat was what was going against the routine. And the routine, yeah, there it is. And the routine had been attempted to be theft, or, yeah, thieved. Had been attempted to be thieved. Yeah, for authority, which is what God already, obviously. So someone lost their authority attempting to steal. Yeah. And they lost their authority, because whatever it is that they were trying to steal, that they thought was the word that I used, was actually the Four of Wands in reverse. Yeah. In which that they had no moral discernment about. Yep. See? They had no moral discernment about it. But caution was already used in happiness. Yeah. And the tower already struck. So they were attempting to project false, yeah, hypocrisy. That's what that is. They were attempting to project their hypocrisy as if it were alignment. Yeah. They were attempting to project their hypocrisy as if it were alignment. And now they're being caught. That was the final. That was the final judgment. Yep, that was the final judgment. King of Pentacles in reverse. They were attempting to project their hypocrisy as if it were alignment. Yep. Yep. And now we're moving forward. I'm seeing, yeah, the opportunity is being, yeah, there's the hypocrisy. Yeah, there it is behind. See? Yeah, it's behind now. Yeah, it's behind now. Yep. Yep, the ancestors are pushing through forward. There's that void we talked about earlier. Yep. And there's the headache.
And there's the theft. Yeah, they stole from themselves their own journey. Yeah. Threshold. There it is. To raise higher, to elevate threshold. Look, development of meaning. Alchemy, chemistry. See the alchemy? See? It's solid. Kingdom. Kingdom is real. And it cometh. Kingdom cometh. Yeah, messenger. Message. Kingdom cometh. Yeah. So, shareholding. Shareholding. Yeah. Shareholding. That's what this energy consists of. Yeah, shareholding. Two of Cups. Energy consists of shareholding. Yeah. Ooh. Ooh. Jesus is warning me about. Wait. He's telling me something about the Pisces energy and the void energy. The false teacher energy. Yeah, Pisces energy. It's like he was really teaching me about the 12th house. That's why. That's the truth. Yeah, Emperor energy. Judgment. Yeah, Five of Cups. There's the woe. Yeah, the woe. Yeah, when it comes to those battles. So, like, for example, Jesus feels my pain. So, like, I'm getting headaches and he can feel them too. And I know that. And it's like, that's also one of my biggest prerogatives as to making sure I don't get headaches, is because I don't want Jesus to be in any kind of pain. I don't want any of the heavens to be in any kind of pain. I don't want, you know what I mean, God to feel pain. That's not what I want, exactly. And that's what they wanted to take away. They wanted, yeah, it's burdensome. They want to act like, as if that they don't, they see, they want to act like God. But when you tell people, oh yeah, God feels our pain, Jesus feels our pain, they understand, you know what I mean? The heavens understand what we go through. They feel us. It's empathy. They want to act like, no, it's conditional. You see the problem? So they agree to some sort of conditional living. And now the conditions aren't assisting them. They're not helping them. They're not doing anything for them. They're dying in those conditions. You see? Thus is their, what is it called again? Their false alignment, their hypocrisy. Thus is their hypocrisy, honestly. The conditions of their own hypocrisy that they manifested for themselves. What was it? What was it? Disposition. Yeah, their disposition. Thus is their disposition. Yeah. And yeah. And now they're being scaled. Yep. They're being like an earthquake. You get it? They're being scaled like an earthquake to see the damage that they could cause. Yeah, cycle complete. There it is. And that's what it is, to see the damage that they could cause, how long they could cause the damage for, all the different kinds of damage they could cause, where the damage comes. Like, it's a lot of work, right? It's a lot of work, right? And that's why the work exists. Not because of them, but because of the recompense within it. Yeah, compensation. There it is. Easy. The work exists because of the compensation in the work. Their judgment is truly false, man. That's what I'm seeing. It's what I'm hearing, what I'm fearing. Fearing. Seeing. Hearing. Fearing. I just want to make sure she's like... Yeah. Girl. Oh, 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 sleep, sleep, sleep. The fucking hair. Oh, fucking... Gosh, I need to clear... to brush her properly. So... the work exists because of the recompense in the work, right? As within, so throughout. Oh, she cracked her little paw. Wait. I just realized in a second. I need to like, I can't really think about it. The logic, right? The evocation, yeah. Yeah, a painting exists because the fulfillment inside or beauty it contains justifies its creation. The result, effect, or impact is already contained in the act of creation. The action and reward are inseparable. That's what it is. The labor and the reward are coexistent. Yeah. And that's harmony. That's what I'm trying to say. So the harmonic evocation of of compensation is real. I'll repeat it now. Repeat it now, right? I'll repeat it now. The harmonic evocation in recompense or compensation is real. God is real.
God is good always. God is real. And those narcissistic, stupid idiots and all those people they've signed up for conditions to remain dispositioned against harmony. Do you see what I'm saying? So, Tower, that's so what is the recompensation? What's the Tower energy, right? Sudden upheaval, disruption, revelation, truth coming to light, breaking down to rebuild, liberation through chaos. So, opportunities. It's an opportunity, right? Release. So, high risk assessment, right? A high risk assessment can be made there. And there will be a win-win scenario available within that high risk assessment. Why? Because there is an opportunity within the revelation. So, what now? Right? Yeah, there it is. That Four of Wands in reverse. That was what was attempting to take the thievery. So instead of seeing the stealing, let's focus on the salvation. Right? Oh, see, there's the Judgment in reverse. Yeah. Yeah. The salvation within the scenario. Yeah. Would be the power. Ooh. Would be the power. Well, of the Lord. The Lord Jesus Christ. God is my salvation. The Lord is my salvation. So, yeah. Think not what oh, listen. Give me a second. Yeah. All right, well, I'm done. It seems that I'm done. Yeah, I mean, the cycle got completed. We got our advice. Investments were made. Achievements were progressed. We're moving forward. Ease is here. You know what I mean? Like, we had the upheaval, right? Stability, caution, everything, right? So, hey, it's time to reward, relax, all that jazz. Bye bye.